Hello, welcome to Game Dev London. I'm Chris Payne, and with me today, I have co-host Stuart Deville. Hi, Stuart.
Hello, how are you?
Do you want to give us a quick bit of background?
Quick bit of background. I'm Stuart Deville, as was just said, funnily enough, and I am one of the co-founders of Game Dev London. And that's all you really need to know about me, actually.
Fair enough. And our guest, Tom Bradstreet of Into Games. Hi, Tom.
Hey, how's it going? It's lovely to be here. I'm Tom. I'm with Into Games. I'm the community manager. I have a background in games narrative development.
Awesome. So today is this is a special two-part podcast. We have been given a challenge by the Nice Games Club podcast. They've given us, where Nice Game Devs Talk Gaming Game Development, they have given us a prompt video, which we're going to watch in a moment, and then we're going to build a game based on that prompt. It's going to be a board game because video games take more than an hour. But let's take a look at the Nice Games Club's prompt, and we'll be back in a moment.
Camera's up there.
Yep. Hi, Game Dev London. We're
Ellen.
Steven.
and Mark, the hosts of Nice Games Club, a game development podcast from Minneapolis. From time to time, we do what we call a Nice Games Jam. It's a format where we're given a prompt, and then we have to try to come up with a complete game that our audience can play by the end of the episode. Adam contacted us because he thought it might be a good idea for Game Dev London, and we agreed. So we're here to provide your prompt.
Ta-da.
So, but before we do that, what makes a nice games jam?
That is a good question.
It's nice.
Yeah.
That's
I
implied.
mean, other than the constrained time period,
yeah, right.
which is important.
Very
you
constrained.
only have an hour is what we say every time we do this, and sometimes we go over, but who's counting?
We say till the end of the episode.
Right. Oh yeah,
So-
good point.
And that usually is about an hour.
Uh-huh.
But
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes we do feel like when it's like 50 minutes in, we're like, okay, we try to wrap up a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
But that's also part of it. We try to get a complete game,
Right.
Yeah.
and we have a pretty good track record.
We do.
But we always make sure we tell ourselves, part of the rules is that we can fail.
Yeah. You're trying to get a complete game and you can fail.
Uh-huh.
And
Yep.
really try for that complete game. It's not a lot of an hour is not a lot of time. I think
It's
that's the other thing is you gotta really you gotta maybe assign someone to be someone who's not just contributing to the game, but they also have to have some of their brain cells dedicated towards watching the clock.
Right.
Yeah.
Ellen, you say that because for us, you're that person.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know where it went, but I had this amazing thing called a time timer, and it had this big red circle that got smaller
It
and
was
smaller.
intimidating and
It was very good.
Very-
It was very
functional
good.
for
Very,
sure.
very
It's
valuable.
job.
Really good for nice games.
Yeah.
But you need something like that because that time pressure is key.
So, Stephen, during the course of the hour episode,
Yes.
we break it up a little bit to try to make things work.
Well, right. We try to play test in the beginning thing because we're game devs and we like play testing things. That's
Yeah.
not accurate sometimes.
We
it's
know we should.
but it's important to the process, so we try to make sure to play test games.
Yeah, you can't just write down rules for 59 minutes
Yeah.
and say that this probably works.
Uh-huh.
You got to make sure you got enough time to actually try it.
And what's really fun about it is you get to iterate a few times, and that's nice.
Yeah.
Just because iteration is fun.
But what that does is that, just like a game jam of any length, because game jams are not 2 years long,
Yeah.
it really brings the scope down.
Yeah.
It forces you, and that's what we found really valuable about it, is to just this is this simplest version of this idea that's going to be fun, or this is missing pieces, but we got to try to see if this part works. And it's a thrilling challenge, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Exciting.
Okay, so it's enough preamble.
Right,
Let's
right.
actually give them the prompt.
Yeah. Okay.
Ellen,
Steven.
Was I supposed to do?
so what we've done is, instead of coming with a brand new prompt for you, because that is not our job,
No.
frankly, we've never done that, we went back to the very first prompt that we did when we first did our Nice Games Jam. And we've done a dozen of these, or over a dozen, and sometimes the rules are complicated, sometimes they're really simple, sometimes we ignore the prompt, or we find that after the hour is over, we have ignored it and didn't even realize it.
Yeah,
It evolves.
that's
And that is
happened.
all options for our players today as well. But the first one I thought was really good, and what's exciting about it is it gives us the opportunity to see what else can come from that one idea.
Yeah.
And so the prompt is a real-time card game.
Like Egyptian.
Yeah, something like that. Where
Uh-huh.
I remember when we did it, we were like, how do we do this in a way that's not annoying like that game is?
Yeah.
But if you like that part of
Yeah.
it, go for it.
I remember playing that a lot, like in high school and also with my sister.
Yeah.
And those are, you want to hit your friends
Yeah.
and your sister.
Yeah, it's true.
I
So
don't
if-
anymore, but in high school it was like you gotta.
Does you not wanting to hit your siblings that go away after a while?
It did for maybe she wants to hit me, but I don't want to hit her
I
anymore.
haven't lost that temptation, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Well,
So you'll find your own inspiration. And we're really excited to see where it ends up and what you develop. And we're going to find out soon because you don't have a lot of time. So
Go for it.
good luck.
Thank you, Ellen, Stephen, and Mark. That's a really interesting prompt. So, Tom, do you want to start the clock? We'll give ourselves an hour.
Sure, yeah. 1 hour timer. I should probably
God.
have looked that up beforehand. And the clock has started. Oh, it started instantly. Oh, I was going to do like a 3, 2, 1, but yeah, we're
3, 2, 1,
going.
go.
Fine.
3, 2, 1, go, quick,
Okay.
quick.
I have. I'm aware of a real-time dice game, which is interesting, called Escape the Temple, in which everybody has their own set of dice, and you just like roll them as fast as you can. And when you get particular results, then you can move your counter on the board. So I'm just wondering if.
Well, first things first, and excuse my ignorance, what is a real-time card game?
Oh, so traditionally, card games are all about taking turns, and whether it's a classic card game like Rummy or Whist or Poker or something, or if it's something like Munchkin or various other more sophisticated. I say sophisticated, more complicated card games. They all involve taking turns, really, because the problems that you face is like, what if people are fighting each other to draw and stuff like that. So
The nature of advancement in a card game is like one person does that, one person does that. So this is I think of I guess non-turn based games as like the opposite of Pokemon. I guess just kind of free
So
free
real
form.
time is non-turn based.
Real time is not Pokemon.
Would that be like Snap?
Ooh, that's a hard one.
Kind of
turns, right?
Yeah, because you're going fast, but you're still taking turns. Like you couldn't just put cards down.
Oh
down.
yeah, you can't just go blah blah blah.
Yeah. So my first
Depends
thought,
if you're playing with a 3-year-old or not, though.
Yeah, I
that's
guess.
true.
My son
Oh,
would
God,
definitely
do
just be like,
do we have to support 3-year-olds? That's
Ooh.
that's a tough target audience. For a card
It might
game.
make the playtesting a bit different. I mean, Stu, could you maybe go and get your 3-year-old to playtest with us? Because I don't think we can cover that angle if not.
I'll just drag him in and
Okay.
he'll teach us how to play. Yeah. sounds
Sign
good.
an NDA and we're good.
Okay. My first thought is that the problem with the way to solve people sort of like clashing over trying to draw cards from a deck is to start by splitting the deck amongst all the players. And then basically the players are racing, so they are only having to deal with their own draw deck and their own hand of cards and their own potentially cards that are in play.
Okay.
Yeah.
So should
are
we crack open the mirror board and then?
Yes, yeah. Sorry, yeah. We have we did come prepared.
Somewhat.
Let's go to Miro. There we go. Oh, that's my video. There we go. So Miro is super useful for prototyping ideas. Let's start filling this space then.
So I think early on we should decide if we're doing like a PvP card game or like what was just suggested, where it's a game where players are given a deck and it's kind of like a race to see who gets to like build something first. Are we getting the players to like directly kind of maybe attack each other with these cards, like a Yu-Gi-Oh style, Magic the Gathering style thing, or are we doing a card game where you're building towards something like a race style card game? I guess.
That's a good one. The other thing that we could do is we could give the players like a 10-minute time limit, and then they could be potentially cooperating to try to accomplish a goal before the time runs out.
Within the certain task.
Yeah,
That
So
could be really
there's-
cool in like if it was like some sort of I know we're throwing out ideas at this stage, but my first thing that comes to mind is like a bank heist style game where all the players are like using their cards to create like something as quick as possible, and everyone has to achieve their like little objective with their deck within a set time. Like one person's picking the lock, and I have to get certain lock cards, and everyone's playing at the same time to kind of race towards something.
Yeah.
I know we don't want to get pinned down on a certain idea too far, but
Well, no, we probably do because we don't have much time.
oh, we got 55 minutes. That
We've got to
is
pick
years.
We
That is
can
years.
if we pick one, let's get something in place and then we can iterate.
Mhm.
So we're gonna split the deck, right? Let's get that in there.
That's I think that's an
Split
easy
deck.
way to then each player manages their own cards, and like we don't get, unless we wanted to encourage people to sort of like get in each other's
Trade
way.
between each other. Or
That would
maybe trade, like if we're leaning into the co-op angle, like maybe like
Ooh.
once the deck gets split at the
Trading is
beginning, and
good.
like the deck gets split, you've got a time limit, and everyone needs to like get a certain set of cards, but there's something stopping them from doing that. Like and the kind of skill of the game would come from between like getting these trades done efficiently and quickly.
I've got to say I like co-op stuff. I like it when you're trying to collaborate rather than trying to backstab each other. So that would be my preference.
Cozy vibes.
Yeah, let's get some cozy vibes in here.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go co-op.
Okay. Cool.
I will add co-op into our list.
All right, race against the
Things
clock.
we are doing.
Oh God, that's
Okay. So if it's what should we start from the assumption that we've got like a standard 52 card deck, because like we all know what's in that, and then go sort of like, okay, what can we use from that to what could you try to like collect out of a standard 52 card deck that would be tricky if it's split 3 ways or 4 ways. So I mean, have you got to try to get like collect the full suit of all the hearts in your hand, for example? But there are rules.
So if we go down the bank heist route, it could be you need to assemble a full team. You need a getaway driver, you need a lock picker, and you need the smooth talking face guy.
yeah, and maybe the
what
suits
else?
represent those kind of actions they could do. So like the hearts, so the person in the heist who's like the smooth talking guy who does whatever smooth talking guys do. Maybe like you have to collect the full set of hearts to like complete your kind of goal, and like we could put like a little narrative spin on that. That's like, I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's good.
That's smooth talking the bank teller to reveal them like some sort of timetable, like when the guard's on break or something like that.
I love that. I think that feeds into the idea of having like a tight time limit as well.
And then we can also have different bank heists. So like if a certain bank heist might need smooth talking guy to only get 3 hearts, as opposed to a different bank heist where he's not really needed that much, or well, where he's needed more, so you need more hearts.
Oh, and maybe if we're doing this like card management thing, if it's a bank heist where like if the smooth talking guy like gets all 4 hearts, that's a fail state. Like on a certain bank, right? Like on one heist it's a win, and the other it's a fail. Like because like in a bank heist, like they need the lock picker to get a full set, and then they win. But in another heist, it would be like, okay, we need the getaway driver to get a full set. And if one of the other people gets their full set before the person that's meant to, it's a fail state. Maybe.
I like this, yeah.
That's totally. I mean, that sounds like basically we could introduce kind of like a little mini deck of cards that contains kind of like modifiers to the game that change the win conditions and stuff like that. So that's a great way of adding variety. So what's our core mechanic then is basically if we've split the deck, say we split the deck between 3 of us, so we've each got sort of like about 18-ish cards in front of us. What's the rule going to be? So like you draw a card, I guess, to if you've got all you've got is a deck, you've got to draw a card, and then you can look at that card, and then you've got to decide what to do with it. What are you? Because what's to stop you just sort of like just drawing as many cards as you want? How are we going to give you some
That's a good
Yeah,
decisions
point.
to make?
I think we're forgetting about the real time element of it. It just went straight into bank heist card game. Sorry. Yeah. Maybe like one person is constantly drawing, like it's like a constant. Maybe there's like a dealer, but instead of like who's a set position in the game. So instead of like just someone dealing at the beginning, there's someone who's constantly drawing and like rotating the cards around in circulation. Like they constantly moved around the group.
Could it be that
Is that? Yeah, sorry.
could it be that it's real time, but you still have to take from the deck one, then the other, one, then the other?
That's turn based though, isn't it?
Well, it is,
That-
but it isn't. It's like
Hmm.
you're.
I
This is
think
the problem that I had with with like
well,
Snap.
this is why I like splitting the deck, and then because that immediately means that what we've got is that if you've shuffled the deck, you've split it into three, and then each of the players has got to assemble. Actually, this is where those modifier cards could come back in. We could have a set of modifier cards that tells each player what they have got to collect. So if for example, Tom, if you've got to collect like a full set of hearts, if I start drawing cards, and I draw one and I've got the Queen of Hearts, then you need to know. So the first thing that we should do is we should share what our goal is. So like each of us is trying to collect a different suit, say. So then we need to say, okay, I've got the Queen of Hearts. Who needs that? Tom, do you need the Queen of Hearts? And if so, what are the rules about how we swap? You've got to give something away to get the card that you want. Do you have to maybe give away 2 cards, or
If you're talking about like having cards that have special conditions, so there's one person who's saying, "Oh, I need to collect," or like for example, I've got the Queen of Hearts. I need to collect the rest of like the royal cards that have hearts on them. So like the Jack of Hearts and the King of Hearts.
yeah?
And the Queen of Hearts. That's it. That's the other one I forgot. So maybe because if we're going for this real time thing, maybe all the rest of the cards are in circulation, and there's some cards that have special properties, like they either reverse the cards or they block them or something. We have to like stop them on the right bit, or is that kind of maybe too complicated?
I must admit, I do like card games where the cards go into play on the table, and you can create interesting sort of like configurations of cards. So you can then like start using the cards like dominoes or something to sort of like construct layouts using the cards. So maybe it's not just about collecting a set of cards, but actually building a layout of cards. But that starts to move away from a standard 52 card deck, and we're starting to create something that's a little bit bespoke.
Maybe on the theme of like bank heists, we could do like a Cipher style ring of cards. So a bit like the Ring of Fire, the drinking game, when there's a ring of cards all in the middle, and they're all face down. Maybe so there's one card in the middle. Let's say it's the Queen of Hearts, and you go, all right. So we've got to like collect all these other cards, like the rest of that suit or the rest of like the royal suit, I guess. And it's not turn based because everyone collectively kind of maybe picks up a card together and then decides what to do with it. And it's less turn based and more like there's certain actions that the cards do for it.
That is a great idea. I actually really like that because if all of the cards are sort of like placed face down and you're having to like choose one when you're drawing from a deck, there's no choice. But if they're all face down, you've got to pick one. Then there is the risk that we could make it so that like there are fail states in there as well. So for example, if you turn over a spade, then you have to discard something that you wanted, or it sets you back in some way.
I mean, without leaning too into like the drinking game rules, it could be like it inhibits your communication somehow. So if you pull out like, oh, I pulled out a club, that means we can't use verbs or something. Like we could go like a talking kind of angle, like
God.
it stops you communicating, but you're still trying to work together to like crack this cipher. But you pull out a card and now you can't make eye contact for the rest of the game. Like something like that. So we could play into a more kind of like party kind of game almost angle. It's like crack the cipher together, but like as you pull out cards, like it gets harder and harder to.
Real time does lend itself to sort of like chaotic party game. I'll be honest.
Oh, what's that game where everyone tries to count to 20, and but there's no order, there's no turn. So if someone if I was to say 1, one of you two would have to say 2, but you can't say, or you can't like indicate when you're about to say 2, and if you both say it at the same time, we have to go back to 1 again. So maybe it's like the ring of cards, and no one knows. There's no turn, so no one knows when you're going to draw a card, and you can't indicate how. But if 2 people move to draw a card at the same time, the cipher's broken. You have to restart. Something like that.
That's a tricky one. I think to like for the players to decide amongst themselves that sort of like, oh yes, we definitely both moved at the same time. I think it would probably be better to have more concrete fail conditions, like turning up like the ace of spades. It might be enough to have just a single card in the deck that is the fail state, which is the ace of spades.
That's cool.
Or something. That's just enough to give you a big risk. And it's a comparatively small risk because the chance of any one card being the ace of spades is slim, but the chance of getting through the game without turning the ace of spades at some point is higher. The other thing we could do is, what if you we could like add a memory element, so when you turn over a card, you can you maybe have to, you can do something based on what that card is, but
we could.
You can
sorry,
put it back, and then
it,
people can try to remember where certain cards were.
It's like a.
So
like,
what if there's a cipher code to be broken, and it's a memory-based game, so you have to remember digits, and you're trying to draw the digits out of your cards, but every like 10-20 seconds you have to rotate, like
the players get up and move around.
Has to turn rotate the cards around. You know what I mean? So that you're not going to remember where it is because they've suddenly moved, or you've got to try and remember where they moved, and really because you're focusing on your own deck, you're likely to forget
the whole like layout of cards. Though,
if you did it on a plate, maybe just like pop it on a big plate and just kind of, or what they call a
lazy Susan.
Board? A lazy Susan, yeah.
A lazy Susan.
Get a lazy. It's a game that can only be played on a lazy Susan. I really like that.
We delivered in the box, obviously.
Oh, I like that though. It's niche.
Yeah, you can't fit a massive circle of cards on a lazy Susan in fairness. So, in fact, actually,
well, we would be the producers of both the lazy Susan and the cards, so you can deliver whatever you want.
If you sell it in a big sort of like deluxe Kickstarter box set, then you could include the lazy Susan. But
I like how we're already talking about like marketing it and advertising it. Yeah, back the deluxe. This is what I do edition.
With every project.
How can we milk this for money?
Okay, so I don't know how big a circle it would take to put like an entire deck of 52 cards out, but
no. The cipher is a select number of cards.
Right, okay.
Thing, yeah.
So
like maybe it's 8 cards.
Is the goal then to basically like turn them all over at once? And so like the object of the exercise is like you can flip a card, and then that if it's a good card, then it allows you to it means. Oh,
I've got it. So the cards in the, oh my god.
Oh no, it's alright, so, stay with us.
The cards that are in the ring, will have corresponding cards. So you get to flip one over and be like, oh, okay, so I need to find that in my deck, and then you flip it back and you try and find that card in your deck. And if you have the right unlock card, then you can unlock it. If you don't have it, then maybe you need to trade. Or you can then flip the next card to try and find see if you can. So it's the first person who can go, oh, I've got that one, and then you're like, oh crap, I need to get that one. You know what I mean?
That's brilliant. I think we've suddenly got like a rule set now. So we've got
We should start writing this
number
down
of cards
so we forget
in the
this.
Cipher ring. Everybody, the rest of the cards are like split between the other players, and then in order to break the cipher, you need to like turn over a card, and then play a matching card on top of it, and then that tumbler is locked. So if you turn over the Queen of Hearts, and then you can play like another queen on it, you've locked that tumbler.
Yeah, that's like a cipher.
You've got to have the queen in your hand, and then like maybe if you can't lock the tumbler, then maybe depending on what type of card it is, like it will allow you to draw another card from your deck or something like that. So there's rules about when you can draw a card. You can't just like pull the ball. You could.
Oh, if we're not going turn based, like what? I guess you could just like pull as many as you can. That brings us back to that time aspect.
I think
that,
the
like,
rule would be you flip one, you try and match that one. If you can't match that one, you got to quickly move on to the next one. If you have got a match, then it stays turned up and you put your matching card down. But this also means that your competitor can now see the card they need to unlock that cipher card.
Yeah, and the
while
chaos
they could
comes
still be searching for another one.
Everyone's doing it at the same time, so that's where the chaos. Yeah, maybe it is the first to crack the lock or something like that. Like yeah, and then like the chaos from it comes from everyone's flipping cards at the same time. So you're trying to watch your own cards and what you're flipping and what you can match with that, and also keep an eye on the rest of the cipher because people are flipping them as well as you go along.
This sounds like it could work. I don't know how the hell we can playtest it over Miro, though.
I mean, it's just to add to that, what's stopping people? I mean, the thing that's stopping people as well from flipping over all the cards at the beginning is that like there's more stuff in play and it makes it harder for them. If like, so you mean you could go and flip every card open, but then you've got to keep track of everyone else matching stuff with them. So like,
well, this is what I was suggesting is that like we want to like make people make it a bit of a risk reward thing. So you've got to have a risk that every time you flip a card, it could be a bad card, which is going to set you back. So for example, if it's a spade, then it means that you have to like discard a card, and that might mean that you might
have discarded a card that you needed.
That was essential to completing the cipher. So that'll make people want to be a bit more careful. But the trick is going to be figuring out what the rules are. 'Cause we don't necessarily have to use a 52 card deck. Once we've figured out roughly what the rules are, we can then go sort of like, oh, this would work a lot better if we had slightly fewer cards. And it's like, fine, we'll make our own deck.
I've got it brewing. So just as a kind of like a kind of put a pin in what we've got so far, it's a deck where you're trying to break a cipher by matching cards. So you're trying to, I guess, discard. Are you trying to discard your hand, like by matching them with the one, so it's the first person to like get an empty hand? Because what would
think it might.
Oh, go on. Sorry.
Sorry. I think it might be fun to stick with the co-op and like you're all working together to try to crack this, but you've got you've got to follow the rules about like when you can draw a card and how many cards you can hold. So the rules are the thing that make it hard to just sort of like match them all. Because obviously, if the easiest way to solve this particular setup is like turn over all the cards so they're all face up, and then shuffle through your deck and place all the matching cards on top of them. So we've got to come up with ways that rules that make it harder to just sort of like match the cards to them. So the first thing being that if you can turn a card, you can look at it, but then you have to put it back down face down if you can't lock that tumbler immediately.
You got a match sign with it, yeah.
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 Then and then you've got to try to remember what's where. And I think that's the first thing that makes it interesting. And then the next thing will be is like you've got this big deck. How do you like work your way through that deck as quickly as possible, trying to find all of the cards? So maybe there's.
So this is probably going to be like a multi-deck game, right? You'd have the Cipher to break deck, which is where you get your random Cipher break cards. And then you've got your key playing cards that would match whatever the Cipher cards are. Does that make sense?
It could be, yeah. I mean, we could.
So then the way that you would do it is you set up your Cipher ring, and then you're allowed to pull 5 cards. From those 5 cards, you have to flip one of the Cipher cards and see if you've got a matching key. If you don't, you flip it back over, and then you have to have a look at your hand. And the cards in your hand will tell you whether or not you can maybe like pick up 2 cards, but and then you have to put that card down so that it's face up, so everyone knows that you had a pick up 2 card. Does that make sense?
So the win
Yeah.
state is matching a card with everything in the ring.
Yeah.
We've got
Yeah.
So like, although it's not turn based, there is kind of like a turn sequence that all of the players are cycling, which is like flipping a card, seeing if you've got something in your hand to match it, and then the rule is, I guess, like if you do have something that matches, then you can lock that tumbler. That's a win. That needs to be a fairly rare, otherwise you're going to very quickly rattle through all 8.
So maybe it would be a case of you need to unlock 4 of the 8. Well, yeah, if it's 8 ciphers,
I think
you need to unlock 4.
We
and then
could do it.
you've-
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I just
and
thought
then
I
you-
just thought it sounded cool.
So yeah, if you're the first person to match 4, then you can unlock it. I think the other thought that I had was a good fail state, which is alarm cards. So if you get if in your hand you end up with 3 alarm cards, then you've set off the alarm and you've failed. So every time you get an alarm card, you have to put down the alarm card and go, ah, damn it, I got an alarm card.
I like that. If we're talking about like what we're matching, maybe because there's differentiating cards. There's different suits and there's different then there's numbers, isn't it? So maybe if we're doing matching, so let's say this card here is a 2 of clubs. Like when you turn that over, it's a 2 of clubs. You pick up some cards from your hand into your hand, and you go, okay, I've got a 2 of diamonds, so I can match that 2 because this one's a 2 of clubs here. 2 club. I'm gonna write. I'll draw some more cards out for this. This one's 2 diamond. So because it's a 2, you can match that together.
Yeah.
But now for your win state, let's say this is a 3 of hearts, and you draw a 4 of hearts. Normally you'd be able to match those 2 together because the suit matches. But because you've already got like your number matching, you've just like decided to number match here.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, you can't match it with that. Like the cipher's already been clicked to match with numbers instead of suits this time.
That's good. Yeah.
Okay, that's a really interesting one actually, because well, because the numbers and suits are asymmetric. So there's only 4 suits, and there's like 13 different numbers. So
Well, that's if we use that.
if we use a standard 52 card deck,
Yeah.
well, we could make a symmetric deck that had like 36 cards, or something, and then you've got like six.
We would definitely
6 by
have to
6.
spend time balancing.
Or I mean, unless we had it
there's a lot of
alternating
stuff that we could do.
matches.
Yeah.
So like so for example, like because if we stick with 8 cards, that's 2 4s, right? So we need 4 suit matches and 4 number matches to break the cipher, and they have to be opposite from each other. So like for example, if there's like the 2 of clubs and then next to it is the 3 of hearts, you'd need to match like, so if you made a number match there, the one directly next to it would need to be a suit match. You wouldn't, like, let's say if you got another 3 there, you wouldn't be able to play it because it's like it would have to be a suit match next to it instead of a number match. Maybe.
The only risk there is if it's positional, then you could get in a situation where you have you've number matched, so you can number match those 2s up there, and then the ones under the 3 of hearts, you might have suit matched those, and then there's a tumbler in between those 2 that you can't ever match, because like it can't be a number match because it's got a number match on one side, and it can't be a suit match because it's got suit match on the other side.
Maybe that's where the memory game aspect comes in. At the end, you flip them all over and you see if you've cracked the lock or not, and like you see if you've screwed up the kind of the format of it. Like,
but also that gives you another fail state, right? That means like,
well, yeah, you'd have to.
Because you want a couple of fail states because it's a fast-paced game.
I mean, it is going to be fast-paced, but you don't necessarily want to sort of like. I kind of like the idea that like the fail states are reversible, because I think it's much more fun to have like a setback that you can come back from than have just unexpectedly sort of like turn a card or do something wrong and sort of like, oh, you failed.
Do you know what
just
could
a quick
also
heads up as well. We are half an
interesting?
hour in. That's
Half
the
an
half an
hour
hour
in.
mark.
Wow.
We just met.
Do you know
we
what
just
would make
met 30 minutes.
Do you know what would make this
so
extra interesting? Would be if we also had a jailbreak card. So even if you did get the 3 alarm cards up, there might still be a possibility that you get a jailbreak card. Or if you've already got a jailbreak card, it's the card that you want to kind of keep hold of, but that's taking up space in your deck.
Yeah, I think we've got to figure out exactly what the.
Oh, cool. I'm sorry, just a quick thing. So,
Go on, Tom.
all these cards here in the ring are all face down. It's 8 cards face down. We've got to break the cipher. Only 1 card in the ring can be turned up at any one time. So, and the rest you have to memorize. So you can turn a card over or under any time you want, unless it's been locked. So I turn this 2 of clubs up, and I'm like, okay, it's a 2 of clubs. I've got a 2 of diamond. I'm gonna match it like that, and you turn this card back over and keep that on top of it. That's that one cipher ready, and then you have to turn the next card over, and you go for 3 of hearts.
I like that.
All right, you need to match something with that.
It lets your enemy know. It doesn't let your enemy know which was matched, so they'll be like, oh, it was either a 2 or it was a diamond, but they won't know unless they've memorized it.
Are we doing enemies? I thought it was like a co-op thing.
We've got to pick whether this is co-op or PvP, and stick to it, because otherwise, with
right, I thought we were doing like first person to crack.
Because I quite like the idea that, like, if you're cooperating to crack that cipher, and like if you've got to crack all 8, then you can see how your progress is going. You can maybe it will be depending on what we end up with the rules, it might be easy to crack the first few, and then it starts to get harder because you have to I mean, that's what we want, really. We don't want it to like be hard to find the first few and then sort of like get easier towards the end because all of the cards have come out of the deck. We want it to start.
Maybe that's where we can use the royal suits from. So like maybe like the cards in the middle can only be non-royal suits, and then there's a separate deck for royal suits, and every time you pick up like another card into your hand, you also have to pick up something from the royal suit, which is like an action that can happen. And it could be something like rotate the thing round, or it could be like swap some of the card piles around. So that way you start losing track of where things are a little bit more.
That's just evil.
That could be I think it could be pretty fun though. Like so imagine like you turn this over at the beginning and it's like, okay, that's a 2 of clubs.
Swapping tumblers, I think, is manageable. I think like rotating the whole thing, I don't think works, because like unless you have a lazy Susan.
So swapping them around in different places based off.
If it's got to happen live, then we want to. In some way, we want to kind of like almost minimize the interactions with the cards. Otherwise, you're constantly going to be sort of like bashing heads over the circle.
Yeah.
So let's just visualize like a single player's sort of like game loop.
Yeah.
They've got you've got your own deck to draw from, and there's some rules about how fast you can draw that. So are we saying that you can draw a hand of 5, and then you can then you can turn a card, see what it is. If you can match it, then you can lock that tumbler. What happens? And so
What's the
then
4th card suit? I've just forgotten suddenly.
Sorry?
Like it's clubs, hearts, diamonds, and what's the last suit?
Spades.
Hey,
Spades, of course. Sorry, my brain just absolutely shut down
Um,
for a second there. My bad.
So I
we
mean,
go.
obviously, we can reskin this with like custom bank heist cards.
Yeah.
for
At the
sure.
end,
That's
basically.
100%.
Yeah.
As someone who works on aesthetics, that is
Yeah,
100% what I would do.
Yeah. But it's just useful to think in terms of a deck that we're familiar with. So if you've got if you are able, if you're lucky enough to be able to lock a tumbler, you've put one card out of your hand. You can then presumably draw another card to refill your hand, so that you're back up to 5. What is the penalty for turning a card that you can't match? Because nothing, your hand doesn't change. Then, if you can't match it, do you just put it back down? Because otherwise, you're just going to end up.
That's where
going
the memory comes in, right? Because you've now seen it, and you have. If you've got something in that comes into your hand, you could be like, oh, that would work on that Cipher card, and
Or
then
maybe
you
if we're
turn
having
over. But
yeah.
if you've turned over the wrong one, you're like, oh crap! Now I've got to try and match this one.
Maybe if we got that deck of like special cards as well, so like the royal suits, like if you turn over a card from the Cipher and you can't match anything with it, you have to pick up one of those, which like does something like swap the position of the cards, or you discard your hand or something like that.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good idea.
I'm just thinking what rather than a circle that everybody is trying to interact with, because we're trying to eliminate the turn-based thing, we don't want people to be sort of like clashing with what they're trying to do. What if we split that circle up so that each player has a section of the circle, or basically like 3 tumblers each, that they are trying to unlock? So you can only unlock your
Yeah, I like that.
tumblers, but you can maybe trade cards with other people.
Yeah.
But
is there any kind of penalty for trading, or like
What would be
it
the
stuff like-
incentive for trading though?
Yeah,
Makes-
we need to figure out. Okay, here's a thought. What if when you trade with somebody else, you can only trade your entire hand?
Okay, yeah, so it's all or nothing,
Which
because
it's all or
they're
nothing.
robbers. They don't trust each other, so they do a
Oh.
full swap because like they didn't want to give
it's
them a little bit.
Just because if you are able to precision swap individual cards, then like that makes it very easy. But if if Stu needs the Queen of Hearts and I've got it, or like needs a queen and I have one, and then I can offer him my entire hand, but then I get back like a completely unfamiliar set of cards, and it means that you're constantly having to sort of like reevaluate, and you might remember that sort of like, oh, but I had the Ace of Spades and like I gave it to Stu in that hand.
Yeah, I like
We really
that a
need to
lot.
Playtest this now.
Yeah. It's a little difficult to do so with this. Is there like card deck on? Oh, man, this is actually where Tabletop Simulator would come in really handy.
Yeah, it would actually. Although it's a bit cumbersome. So
Yeah.
I don't know how.
I've got a pack of cards downstairs. I could grab it, and then we could literally just do it on my floor, and I could mimic your turns.
Try that.
I'll really quickly run and grab that pack of cards with me just a sec.
This is the madness of. This is amazing.
Isn't it? I don't actually have a pack of cards to hand. I have a tarot deck.
I've got an entire. I've got. I'll show you. I've got this entire pack of Pokemon cards.
Okay. Because this is the other thing that once we've got this these basic core rules in place, it's going to be
Yeah.
really easy to like. You could make it so that like the cards have like more than just sort of like suit and number. You could put them. You could make it complicated by saying like the cards have got they've got like a shape and a color, and some other feature
Mel. I don't know.
and you can match like on any of those properties, and that's going to make it even harder to think about and to remember what you had.
Yeah.
But also that makes it very abstract. So yeah, it might be better to.
I don't know if I'll be able to show my table here. It's a very small space to work off here. Oh God, pardon me. Oh yeah, okay, there we go. So
you're gonna have to play for all of us. It's brilliant.
I like this.
Well,
we
you can
make
do a one. You could do the one-player version.
Yeah, try as a one. Yeah, as a single.
Okay.
Oh no, we need to do it really 2 players, don't we?
Well, we can just
Well,
see if the
to be
general mechanics function,
Okay.
Yeah.
because every player is going to be breaking their own cipher, right?
Did it? To be fair, it did say it never said this had to be a co-op game. This could just be a solo, like turnless cipher breaking game.
Because
maybe
if you're playing with yourself,
Yeah.
that's real time.
Yeah.
Sure. That
I mean, I
kind of works.
That
I-
makes.
people play solitaire like mad.
Yeah.
They do. Arguably, that's a good philosophical question: whether solitaire is turn-based if there's only a single person taking the turns.
I've just
It's a
realised I
similar
can
thing,
see,
right?
see
You
Stu on
can
the
only
screen.
put down what you can put down.
Yeah. So it's the rules about where you can place things are what make patience difficult.
So I've got a hand
we
which
have a
is
similar thing here. You can only put a card down next to a corresponding cipher.
So my hand
Yeah.
is Ace of Clubs, King of Hearts, and King of Spades.
Okay.
So, for example, if I was to take up a card and go, "That's a 3 of Hearts,"
Okay. So
and put it back down, would
shall
I be able to
shall we say
match
that
my
you could
King of
lock
Hearts
that
up
with a
there?
heart?
Lock that with a heart, yeah. So
Yeah.
that's
so you-
locked.
Should we also say that aces are alarm cards?
Aces, yeah, that's good. Aces alarm. So I've got one, and this can't be discarded now because I picked
So
up
you
one.
You have to put it face
So
up.
it fills
on
your hand up, yeah.
That's a good one. We need to make sure that we haven't accidentally dealt any aces out into the cipher, though.
Maybe we keep them separately and then shuffle them back into the pack afterwards.
Yeah, that that would fix that. So,
Yeah. So then I draw another card
then
up
you
to
draw
fill my
another
hand up.
card.
Oh, and I got another heart. I got another
now
ace.
Who shuffled
God.
these?
2 alarm cards.
I think so.
This is
So
good,
2 alarms.
it's
So
good.
I now can't. Like, I've got one more chance. So I'm
So
gonna
you
pick
can-
up that.
try
It's
what?
10 of hearts.
10
I
of
can't.
hearts. So
I
you
can't play
can't do
anything. So
anything.
what's my penalty for not being able to play something here?
I mean, I guess you've just wasted a bit of time.
I suppose, yeah.
Because the other thing is, if we've got a time limit, if we've got like a sand timer running,
Oh, that's a
Didn't we
spade, so I
say
can
that
match that.
Didn't we say that you should have 5 cards in your hand?
we did, but 3
Ooh.
is sufficient.
3.
for-
Yeah, if we do 3 and it's 3 alarm cards, there's a lose condition. Once
Yeah.
you pick up that, like, you keep them in your hand, so they're like blocking up kind of spaces in your hand. So you
Yeah.
can only tag one card out.
I had envisaged it as like, you don't have to keep them in your hand, but you do have to place them beside you, face up.
Okay.
I think.
But they're not taking up
wanna,
space in your.
If we're going to swap them, I think the easiest thing is to keep them in your hand, and then when you when you swap cards, it's easy to swap 2 hands, because like
So yeah, so I've matched those 3 there.
Well,
So would that be that? So I need to pick up another one. So
You need-
basically,
yeah,
I need to
draw-
break
draw
all these
another one.
ciphers without. But
so-
then basically this just comes down to like, do I get bad luck? Kind of drawing an ace. There's not.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
this is.
Well, this
yeah,
is the
you
thing.
can't-
If we had created our own decks, then we control the frequency of. There would be more than just
Yeah.
the 4 aces,
Yeah.
alarm cards in there.
But Tom's right that this if the problem is like alarm cards accumulating in your hand, then there's very little you can do about that. So I guess.
And
But this is
you
what I thought it'd be better if
yeah.
they went down beside you. Because then,
Unless you get like a jack or a king, or like how you were saying earlier, Stu, about there being like maybe instead of a get out of jail, there's like a deactivate card. So like for example, if I pick up like a special card, like let's say like a suit one, let's say I pick up a queen. Queens allow me to discard one of the alarm cards from my hand, and it like goes away after that.
Okay.
Because that way it's still there, and
yeah.
there's that pressure of your hand getting filled out of alarm cards, but you do have like the safety of like, oh, I might pick up a queen next, and like that could save me.
And then we can play around with like the hand size limit, which might change depending on the number of players or something.
Yeah.
So let's try it with carry on with 3 for the moment. See, I've already forgotten what that second one that you turned up was.
Oh yeah.
So
to be fair, I was not paying attention at all. I should probably keep those down as well.
I mean, once the tumbler is locked, it doesn't really matter whether you can see it or not. But so if you've got 3,
I'm gonna say it was a spade. Like, let's hope so. No, it was a heart. So there's nothing I can match with that. So my penalty would be picking up a card from like the deck, I guess, which is like the penalties deck, I guess let's call it, which would be a penalty. And let's say that was swap the position of that card with the one opposite of it. So
oh god,
now that's moved over there now.
My only worry is that if we're doing this at high speed because it's not turn-based, then sort of like rearranging those like cards on the table is a right fact.
Be clamoring all over each other.
It's going to lead to cards getting scattered accidentally all over the shop. So I think this is why I
maybe you just have to swap it out. Maybe the penalty is you have to put in a fresh Cipher card.
If you can't play, you swap out. Maybe like so. Like for example,
right.
I couldn't.
If you can't match, you have to relock one of the tumblers.
Ciphers. Yeah.
That could.
So you turn that over.
That seems to be hard because you're more likely to fail than to succeed, aren't you?
Possibly, but maybe not.
Well, I guess it depends if you've got other people. It depends on the size of your hand. For example, having like like 4 cards in your hand or 5 cards in your hand will massively increase the probability that you're going to be able to match something. So we could.
Oh, this is cool actually. Yeah. So if I couldn't,
figure out what the probability is.
So if I couldn't match that one, for example, I have to sacrifice one of these, and I go like, all right, that 9. Like I have to put that down. So that new lock is that 9, ignoring that card now. So then if I pick up another one, I'm going like, oh, I think that was a 9, but was it a diamond? It might have been. So if I kind of go, oh, is it a diamond? It was a diamond. Okay, cool. So this one is now a complete like lock there, and I have to go around and do that for all them. But the difficulty is like you could pick up the alarm cards, or you could run out of the deck basically. If you get to the end of the deck and you've screwed up all the locks, like you can't unlock it.
I really like that because you're right. You can
So I've got these.
If you overdo it, it means that it kind of discourages the players from just like rushing through as quickly as they possibly can.
Is that a club? Yeah.
Because if they every time they get something wrong, it increases the chance that they're going to fail the game completely. And that will encourage them to actually try to remember what's where. And
so that's a club, like a spade there, for example. Pick up another one. I got a club. I'm like, okay, that I know that's a spade there. I'm gonna try this one. That's a queen of hearts. There's nothing I can do to unlock it. So that's
in your hand, so you can.
Oh, was it a spade? Oh, it might have been.
Holding a...
I can't remember already. But this is the fun of the game because I can't remember already what I put down. It might be a spade. If I turn it over, I can't lock anything. It was a spade. Yes, so I could put something on that, and that's that lock broken. There we go. So like,
that one. That's cool.
That's the game. I guess that's the game. We've got 12 minutes left. We need
amazing.
That's fantastic.
Amazing.
Okay, so now we need to like.
Let's
I think if we can't playtest it, I'll just readjust my camera now. If we can't playtest it very well, I think we should at least, because the others are going to test our game out. I think so. We should write down these rules for it, and then they can playtest it for us. And if it goes horribly well, then it's our win.
We can
I guess.
we can have a play around with. I think that means that it'll be fairly easy to sort of like tune the and balance this game, because like we can just like make your hand size slightly different, or make the cipher
Yeah.
more cards, and that is do you know what?
I think. Are we?
I want to open a spreadsheet now and actually do the
Oh
maths. So I'm like,
yeah.
what are the chances, given a hand of 3, of being able to match another card from the
Okay.
same
Cool.
deck? That's
So
a
let's.
but that means that we can, by changing the number of cards in the cipher and the number of cards in your hand, we can adjust the difficulty and fine tune it. And then if we were going to reskin it completely, then we could change it by making it, instead of just like 4 suits, 13 numbers. We've mostly been looking at suits, haven't we? Because
Yeah.
that's the easy one. But we could make it like a 6x6 grid that we were trying to match, and like there's all sorts of ways that
Yeah.
we
That's
could
the.
tune the difficulty there. So the question is whether it works, whether it's actually fun for multiple players, and can they play it
Can they do
real
stuff
time?
while everyone else is also doing stuff?
Yeah. So that'll be the tricky bit, is going to be, is it actually fun to go sort of like no, I need a I've turned this card
Mm.
and I need can we lock it? You know, has anybody got a card that will lock this? And sort of like, if so, swap your whole hand. I don't know. It really needs playtest to
I'm just
sure.
gonna try and get these rules down as quick as I can.
I-
so we've
I
got
have a
something to show
feeling-
for this at the end of it.
Just from what we saw there, we have a very solid base. And I
It
think
feels like
that
it. Yeah.
yes,
There's
that went from like chaos to working really like. Normally, you'd expect kind of your first play around to be like, no, that just totally didn't work. But actually, that and we did do some tweaks on the fly, but still,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah. This would be so much
Pretty
easier
solid.
if we were actually gathered around a table and we could just sort
And
of
we
like
could
go,
play
okay,
it, yeah.
we've worked out the rules. We'll play it.
I mean, how far away are you guys? Because I'm down in Brighton. Maybe we could like very quickly get on the bus and just like meet up. And we've got
how much
9
time have
minutes.
we got left?
We've got 9 minutes to get for me to get to London, right?
I have
in
once
Cheshire.
cycled the London to Brighton, and
Oh, that's something I've always wanted to do. So players may
And
turn over
it's-
any
it's
card on the
not quick.
circle at any time and try to remember the suit or number of the card. It then must be placed back face down.
Well, they can try to match it while they're looking at it.
Yeah.
But if they
Oh yeah,
can't-
yeah.
if
Oh
they
yeah.
can't
That
match
was the
it-
thing.
Yeah, if they can't match it, then they have to put it back face down.
Yeah.
And look and try another one. And so it'll be fairly quick to find one that you can match, and then like as you start to complete it, it's going to get trickier, because you're going to need like you're going to get down to the last 2 tumblers, and they're both spades. So like any of the other 3 suits is useless unless it happens to be the exact same number.
If they can match either the suit or number, they leave their card face up on top of it, and
Are we
yeah.
going to say a circle of 8?
Circle 8 seemed to work.
Also, are we having a single draw stack in the middle of the circle?
Yeah, I kind of
Or
like
we
that,
gonna-
the way it's in the middle and like everyone takes out from it.
I guess so. I like splitting it up because it means that you're not like clashing with other people, but I guess that kind of makes it fun if you've got to wait for somebody else to draw their card.
Yeah, because
before you
it's
can
like
take
Yeah.
one.
bananagrams.
Yeah.
Bananagrams, you just have to grab from the pot.
I have not played bananagrams.
Oh my god, you have to play bananagrams.
But I mean, if you've played Escape from the Temple, which is the dice rolling one that I mentioned, everybody has their own set of dice, so they can just like roll. You can just roll as quickly as you can, but you have to get a certain, like you have to get a Yahtzee before you can like get out of a pit trap that you fell into, or something. And so once you've rolled the correct thing, then but because it's obviously it's dice, you might have to roll it twice to get that, or you might have to roll it a dozen or more times, and the time is ticking all the time. So but everybody has their own dice to roll out, because that would be really painful if you had to pass those dice around, because they'd get lost and stuff like that. If you're in control of your own dice, then it's up to you how fast you roll. But I think, it's probably simpler to have a single draw pile. Did we want to?
Okay, so this is what I've got so far. Let me just
Okay.
read this through to see. We've got
Yep,
6 minutes, so I'm very aware of the time.
Yep.
I'm a little bit panicking. So, game rules: shuffle the deck and place a pile of cards on the table. Draw cards. That should be draw. Are we doing 8?
Let's
Yeah.
go with 8
cards?
for the moment.
Draw 8 cards and place them in a circle around the pile. The face down card represents locks in a cipher, which must be cracked to win the game. Which must be cracked by matching their suit or number. Mitch?
By matching either.
Either suit or number to win the game. Players draw 3 cards. Player may turn over any card in the circle at any time to match a card from their hand with the suit or number of the card. If they can match either the suit or number, they leave their card face up on top of it, signaling they have cracked that part of the lock. If they cannot match either the number or suit, they must leave one of their cards face down on the card they couldn't match. This becomes the new lock.
That is really simple.
I hope so.
I
really hope so.
The only thing that is missing from that is the explanation of the win state, which is that you have to crack all locks.
Once all the locks are cracked, the players win. However, if
we
they
have
run
to
out of
explain
cards,
the like alarm cards or
I'm not sure that we
thingy cards.
that necessarily need the alarm cards.
Well,
I quite like
forfeit
them. Yeah.
cards.
I mean, we can
Maybe not the forfeit cards, but I think that we should keep the alarm cards in for sure.
Well,
Like
this is the thing,
aces are alarms.
I think that those are fantastic kind of flourishes to add to it, because if it starts to if we had time to play test it and it felt a bit stale, then you could do things like adding these extra cards in to create a bit more tension.
Well, I just like the idea that you might like be playing there with like 2 or 3 people, and someone suddenly just goes, damn it, I've just got like 3 alarm cards, I'm out, and then they like get to frantically, they get to watch the other 2 frantically fight it out. Providing it is like doesn't become a game that is really long and dragged out, because if you're playing at this hectic pace, then they should be games that end fairly quickly.
If
and
a player draws an ace
out.
from any suit, they must keep it in their hand. Or they must keep it with them. Maybe not in the hand. Keep it with.
Must play
them,
the card face up to the side or something.
And cannot. They must keep it with them. Keep it in front of them. Maybe.
I think
with.
Maybe because if you keep it in your hand, then like the chances of it depends whether we want the alarm cards to cause like a single player to fail or the entire team to fail. If you're playing co-op, it would make more sense to just put the alarm cards out on the table so that everybody can see how many have been fired. And in that case, it might be like all of if all 4 aces come out, then if we're using a standard deck, if all 4 aces come out, then that's the condition.
Like if they've got if they've got like 2 aces, but like and everyone's going to start accumulating them over time, and they're like less because there's no turns. People are like, oh yeah, you should pick one up because you've got a few aces, and they start doing them, and then they run out of things to do, and they're like, okay, but you've got one of the right cards. Like it kind of forces people to Sorry, that was a sentence that was going somewhere. It forces.
But also,
the
other thing is with the ability to trade cards with each other, right? Maybe as part of the trading system, there's like honor among thieves or dishonor among thieves. So you could say to someone, "Oh, have you got a heart card?" And they could be like, "Yeah, I've got a heart card." You go, "Oh, I'll trade you for my for a card. What do you need?" And then they go, "Oh, well, I need a club card or a 3 or whatever." And you go, "Okay, yeah, I've definitely got that." And then you trade, but you might have just traded an alarm card.
Oh yeah.
You're back to PvP again, Stu.
Yeah, you really wanted people
Oh,
to
God
fight
damn
in
it.
this game. All right. So we got 1 minute. Let's just read that last little bit to see if it makes sense. So once all the locks are cracked, the players win. However, if they run out of cards from the center pile, they lose. If we should also, oh shit, we didn't put the time in. How many minutes are they doing this? Like 5 seems a lot. Let's try 3.
5. Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know. 5 seems reasonable. Let's try 5. All
Yeah.
of these numbers can be tweaked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Later on, and we can't really like pick a time without playing it. Do we want to make a note that you have to separate the aces and add them back in after you've created the cipher?
Yes. Yes. The players must start a 5-minute timer if they correct. Do you want to write? Does someone else want to write that at the bottom? Just 'cause we've got 59 seconds, and I'm writing this
59
bit.
Oh my god.
Players must start a 5-minute timer if they.
I can't
Let's
edit
see.
it while you're editing it.
Oh no!
Add one underneath.
Okay.
They lose. I got this. I just finished it. Shuffle.
It's probably best to let you do it. It's cool. We are allowed to go over, remember?
Are we?
No, we're doing it. We're doing it to the mark. We're gonna set an
I'm sure Stephen
example.
said that
We're
they
gonna set an
often go over,
example.
and it's fine.
Take all the ace cards out of the deck before. Oh, I should probably put this actually further.
I mean,
up rather
technically
than right at the
speaking,
end.
we made the game well within the time. We're just writing the rules down. So
Yeah.
Well, yeah. In fairness, so yeah, it's frustrating that it's a difficult one to play test online, but it really feels like there's so many.
Oh god, that's so loud. Ow, sorry, the timer. Loud. There we go. That's our
Time's
hour.
up. Well,
So take all the ace
Amazing.
cards out of the deck, shuffle the deck, and place it pile of cards down on the table. Draw 8
Fantastic.
cards and place them in a circle around the pile. Put the aces back in the deck randomly. I'm gonna add that extra word. You know we're over the timer.
that's fine. Yeah, like I
Cool.
said, we designed and played the game before
Sort
our time was up. But this is just documenting.
Frills, yeah.
documentation.
And we
yeah.
we need to come up with a name for it as well.
I was thinking,
Safecracker.
yes, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Fantastic.
I was like, the words. What's the word for a person who does the thing with the cipher and the bank?
Safecracker. Safecracker's cool. Is there word art on this so we can get a big bit that says Safecracker? I like. I
I've
guess
no idea.
There's pen. You can freehand pen it.
I could do balloon text. Yeah, I'll do that real quick.
Just do it in Comic Sans.
There we go. That looks
No,
really
that's
cool.
cool. That feels like oh wow, fantastic, Tom.
I couldn't be asked to do the others. We're getting one really cool letter.
Got as far as S. Nice.
Brilliant.
With 2 exclamation marks. That's the game. Safecracker.
Super.
Cool.
We should totally publish this on the Game Dev London website, and
Oh, I fully intend to market and make this game.
we should make
Splitting
this.
it 3 ways, right? Splitting it
This
3
should definitely
ways.
be version 1. These rules, because I'm sure. Although I think the core concept is sound, I think once we've play tested it, we're probably going to have to twiddle some of the numbers in order to.
Yeah, it would need
balance it a little
balancing for
bit.
sure.
But yeah, there's a lot of numbers to twiddle there. There's the time limit, the cipher size, the hand size, we could tweak rules about swapping cards and stuff like that. We could maybe figure out like PvP version as well as a co-op version just for.
Oh, we absolutely have to.
One of them is the imposter, and they're actually trying to trip all the safe things, so you have to do it. You
Yeah,
have to unlock it
someone-
before they
inside
do that.
man.
Like,
Inside
So,
job.
okay, so how can we fit NFTs into this?
oh my god, please.
Do not.
Please,
Do
no.
not.
Please. Safecracker, now bought by Microsoft.
Yeah,
Oh, jeez.
Topical for you there.
brilliant. Okay, well, fantastic. Thank you so much, Tom and Stuart, for joining us. Thank you, Ellen, Stephen, and Mark from the nice game dev.
Nice games club.
Nice
Games
Games
Club.
Club. Sorry, I've totally blanked on the podcast name.
Thank you, Nice
thank
Games
you
Club.
so much
Thank
for
you.
the fantastic
guys.
prompt, and yeah, it's been really fun.
It really was amazing fun.
I like that. I always love that tension of a jam, but like compacting it all into an hour was like really,
Yeah.
really fun. You saw me get a
that
bit
was
stressy at the
fierce.
end there, but like I did have a really good time.
We had to kill our darlings really quickly. We had to be
Yeah.
like, no.
We did.
Next.
I think it was only stressful for you, Tom, because you were the only one who could see the clock.
Yeah, maybe. That was
I
actually,
always
it's funny you
hear
should say
going,
that. It's a dissertation a friend of mine did, where they wrote a dissertation how a clock impacts people in puzzle games.
Yeah.
So having that there in the screen, I think, was creating like a level of stress for me.
Yeah.
Whereas you guys were just chill, like having a great time. And when I said half an hour was gone, there was a real sense of shock that rippled through the group. It seemed. So.
Yeah, I was. Well, for me though, I was still a bit like, oh, really? I was like, oh, okay, we've still got half hour. We can do this.
Right. Well, I look forward to finding out what the other team has done with
Yeah.
I'm guessing the same prompt.
Do you imagine if they
and
came
hopefully
up with
we'll
the
get to play
same?
their game. That'll be great fun. So until then, if you've enjoyed this, please pop along to gamedev.london to go and find links to our Discord community and our podcasts, which are on places where all good podcasts can be found. And we will see you next week. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.